Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the At the Buzzer podcast. I'm your host, Logan Woodall, and today we will be going over the 9-10 play-in matchups that happened today on the 16th of April, and we had some interesting games for sure. Let's go ahead and start with the first game of the day with the Chicago Bulls playing against the Miami Heat. This was a really boring game, to say the least. I was definitely wrong. I said I thought the Bulls would win, and I was wrong in my assumption. However, I did say that if the Heat were going to win this game, it was going to have to require a Tyler Hero masterclass. And we got just that. With a 38-point, 13 of 19 shooting performance from him, he was phenomenal from start to finish. And he is a all-star level guard when it comes down to it. And he really showed that he is probably, I wouldn't say he's a 1A on a championship team, but he is a phenomenal 1B. I think if you get another guy or Bam steps up, this Heat team could be very, very, very scary. However, right now they just don't have a second consistent guy. And that's what concerns me a little bit about their future. Bam Adebayo had a pretty bad game. Which is it's kind of embarrassing when you're playing the Bulls of all teams and you're playing against Vucevic as their starting back or front court. And you really need to wonder to yourself, I mean, how is Bam shooting 6 of 16 from the field against a Buzelis Vucevic front court? Not good stuff there. Andrew Wiggins was all right, some great shooting from outside the perimeter. And, I mean, in my opinion, this really was the Tyler Hero show. Davion Mitchell had a fantastic game. I was a big fan of Davion Mitchell coming out of college. I like the archetype of player he is, the super fantastic defensive guard, and he probably has one of the coolest nicknames in the league as Off Night, and he held true. 9 assists, 5 of 5 from the field, 15 points for Davion Mitchell, and he looked like their second best player. He was awesome, and I mean it. He looked third best player. Andrew Wiggins looked great this game, in my opinion, but Davion Mitchell definitely looked like he was ready for the moment. He might get himself a nice contract, nice extension if he continues to play like this. I think he'll get some more PT as the season goes on. Hopefully, the Heat don't make a boneheaded decision. With the Bulls, Josh Giddey, I think, had a good game. I think the Heat are a very great defensive team, and Josh Giddey needed someone to step up and help him. And I also called it, Kobe White was horrible. I didn't think he was going to do good in this game. He does not seem like a playoff guy to me one bit, and that proved to be a very true statement here as he shot 25% from the field and the three-point line with 7 turnovers. I mean, easily the biggest stinker in this game was coming from him as he looked abysmal. It was horrible to watch. Vucevic, I mean, you got what you got from Vucevic, right? He can space the floor. Decent rebounder. But, I mean, you need more. This Bulls team is missing somebody. And you hope that they make the decision and they end up trading Vucevic in the offseason. And in my opinion, trade Kobe White too. Get something from it. Because Vucevic's contract is expiring next year. He better get moved. And if he doesn't, I feel horrible for Bulls fans all around the world because it would be, if Nico Harrison trading Luka was basketball terrorism, it would be basketball domestic terrorism. That's what would be Vucevic not getting traded. That would be the label for that. He's horrible. I mean, he has no fit on this team. You have players like Jalen Smith that I think should be getting more playing time. And hopefully they have a good draft pick in this next upcoming draft because there are some good big men in there. And you want to see them land one of them. I think you get Josh Giddey a running mate. I think Josh Giddey's going to get paid a lot of fucking money this offseason. And with how he's been playing, I think rightfully so. And you just hope you can kind of build around him and Matas and move on. The Kevin Huerter experiment, I mean, what happened to Kevin Huerter, man? Seriously. I remember, I think it was a play-in game or a playoff game where he just went off and he was screaming at the crowd. I think it was the official Light the Beam season for the Hawks. And, I mean, he was great, but he has lost something, and he's just, he's nothing. He is nothing. Unfortunately. But overall, I'm not necessarily surprised, even though I did pick the wrong team to win. In the end, this is what I expected to happen. I do think the Heat beat the Hawks. We'll talk about that more here in a minute. And the Bulls, you have some decisions to make this offseason. Hopefully, finally, they realize that they are not a full-on functioning team. You traded away DeMar in the offseason. You traded away Levine at the trade deadline. You finally made those moves. So make the last few moves. Patrick Williams has been so depressing. And I have stock in Pat Will. And it's about bottom out. It's about bottomed out at this point. It's as grim as it's ever looked. THT had some funny flashes. He had an insane turnaround fadeaway jumper at the end of the third quarter, and I was like, oh my goodness, the Bulls kind of looked like they had some life in them, and that this could have been a game in the fourth quarter, especially with how the Heat have been blowing fourth quarter leads this season. But they held the ship steady, and they ended up walking out of here with a much-needed win. And I think they're going to play the Cavs come the weekend. Yep. Pretty disappointing game for the Bulls. And let's move on to the Dallas Mavericks. Okay, Dallas. As a Dallas Mavericks fan, I gotta be honest, they reeled me in a little bit with this game. You see the vision, right? You see the vision. And, it was crazy. It was a crazy game. One of the first things that I kind of realized was, before this game, was how is Klay Thompson going to come out after the infamous 0-10 play-in game last year against the Kings that, gets held over his head every single time there is a social media post with Klay Thompson in it. There are at least a couple of chumps in the comments putting 0-10. And so be it. He shut him up tonight, though. 8 of 11 from the field, 5 of 7 from 3, with 16 points in the second quarter. And it was chef's kiss. It was fantastic to watch. It was so much fun. And on top of that, Anthony Davis, 9 of 23 is not good. Right? We're hoping for a little bit better. But he looked good. He looked good tonight. 9 rebounds, 3 blocks as well on top of that. And you see the problem that teams will run into against this team, and you see the vision once Kyrie Irving is back. Okay, the Mavs starting 5. Klay Thompson is the smallest player at 6'6". That's incredible. That's insane. It is so hard. And I kind of predicted that this game could go this way due to the size that the Mavericks had in comparison to the Kings, and the Kings only having Sabonis as their big man. They don't have a center outside of Valanciunas, who only got 10 minutes this game. 10 minutes. I mean, you can't expect to win games when Domantas Sabonis is your defensive anchor. You're especially against a team like Dallas with so much size. They won this game with size. Daniel Gafford was crazy. Had some insane blocks. Derek Lively as well. 4 assists, a block. Only 1 rebound, but it didn't matter. Because guess what? You have PJ Washington, who's a big guy. 9 rebounds. Anthony Davis, who we all know is a big guy. 9 rebounds. There are like 3 people on the court at a time that are 6'10" or taller. You always have a 7-footer on the court. Most of the game, you have 2 7-footers on the court. And it's so hard when you are under the rim and you get AD or you get Lively to bite at the pump fake. And guess what? The other one's on help defense. It's hard. It's hard to exploit that. And when the Mavs are shooting the 3 ball well, this team is very hard to beat. 14 of 28, 50% from the 3. That is not very replicable for me. You had Anthony Davis going 3 of 6, which is insane. You had Klay Thompson having a great game, which is very replicable. I can see that happening. And then you had Brandon Williams, 3 of 4 from 3. Let's segue to Brandon Williams real quick. This guy, and we'll include Dante Exum in the bit too. Spencer Dinwiddie had 0 minutes of real basketball. 2 minutes of garbage time, but 0 minutes of real basketball when he's been a comfortable starter the entire regular season after the Kyrie injury, after the Luka trade. And Jason Kidd, I think, finally understood that he shouldn't be starting. That you should run this super big starting 5 lineup that most teams don't have the size to guard. They don't. Najee Marshall can make well enough from the guard spot on this or in this starting lineup that you don't need to run a traditional guard like you would with most teams. But when Brandon Williams came in, 5 assists, 0 turnovers, plus 24. Need I say more? 3 of 4 from 3. He was so important. He knocked down some really timely threes in the big run. Look at the second quarter, 44-19, belt to ass session. That's what that was. Belt to ass. Nothing else but that. It was an absolute just takeover. It was the quarter where Klay went off, had 16 in that quarter. Brandon Williams hit some threes. Dante Exum came in, and guess what? 6 assists. 1 turnover. And he was driving to the basket like crazy. And it's so fantastic to finally see the Dallas Mavericks have some form of playmaking on their team that isn't coming from a forward. It's actually coming from a guard, which is impeccable. They've had this problem ever since the Kyrie injury. You haven't had Kyrie to facilitate, and that was the big hole. And now you feel like, okay, you're still a little worried about Dante Exum and what you want to do with him because his contract expires this year, and you now need to wonder, are we going to re-sign him? But now with Brandon Williams, do you need to re-sign him? Or do you just keep Brandon Williams? That's the question. Do you just keep Brandon Williams? You keep Dante Exum? And then, that might be a great idea, in my opinion. You could do that, or you could, There are so many different sorry. There are so many different ways you could go with roster construction. And I do think that you want to keep Brandon Williams, and hell, you might as well keep Exum too. And you just trade for another guy. You keep those two guys off the bench. Hardy's got to go. The Hardy experiment is over. It's been over. He's not what you need. He has, you know, he has moments where he looks like, oh my God, this is the guy we drafted. This is the guy doing what we needed a guy to do. Come in off the bench, play make, and be able to score off, you know, his own, score on his own accord. But he really hasn't been that. He's been a turnover machine, a horrific defender, and not a good playmaker. And he's good when you can have him play off somebody and he can just shoot the ball. But when you don't have anyone that can play make to him, he can't do it himself. And that's a problem. So I think you see Jaden Hardy go. I think you keep Brandon Williams and Dante Exum. And with Kyrie coming back, you have a really, really nice guard rotation with hopefully someone you also trade for in the offseason. But we're not going to get into too much detail about that because that is not what we're talking about today. So my thoughts on the Mavs, they looked fantastic. If they're in this type of form, I think they're going to beat the Grizzlies on Friday. And I'm personally ecstatic for a OKC Mavericks rematch, even though it should be a 4-0 sweep if it happens by the OKC Thunder. But you never know. You know PJ Washington, when he goes against the Thunder, it's a whole different player. He turns into a monster. A monster, I tell you. So, the Kings. The pathetic Kings. As pathetic as they get, to be honest with you. Doesn't get worse than this. DeMar had a good game. And that was it. Sabonis stunk. Stunk it up. He stinks. 11 points, 5 assists, 5 turnovers. Thank God. He better have 13 rebounds. It's unbelievable. Zach LaVine, shot well from 3. 9 assists, minus 22. Sabonis is a minus 26. When I'm looking at this, the only, good things is DeMar DeRozan and Keon Ellis. And Devin Carter was good, too. I think Devin Carter was good. I'm glad he's doing good. I liked him in the draft. But, what are you going to do? What is your plan? What is your idea? What is your process as the Sacramento Kings? They fired their general manager about an hour after the game. He didn't even get to shower or, process what happened. He's got fired immediately. As he should. This team is in perpetual hell right now. You had the really sweet story of them getting the greatest injury luck out of any team in the world and not getting hurt at all and making the 3 seed, breaking their playoff drought, and losing the first round. So they did that, and then they've been play in, I think. Or 2 play-ins. And you just really wonder. You traded away De'Aaron. You traded Halliburton for Sabonis, and now Sabonis is playing with DeRozan and LaVine. I don't know what their draft capital situation looks like, to be quite honest with you, but all I know now is that you've missed the playoffs again. And you are in a very dire situation as a franchise. You need to make a decision now. If I'm the Kings new general manager, because they just fired their general manager, I'm going, okay, I'm walking into this disaster. I'm trading away Sabonis, I'm trading away DeRozan, I'm trading away Levine, or trying to at least, and we're starting over from scratch. We got Devin Carter, we got Keon Ellis, we got Keegan Murray to build around. Let's see what we can do. Let's go back to the bottom. And you do your best to reset, because you're starting to get, I mean, you traded for 2 Chicago Bulls, right? The Bulls' perpetual limbo in mediocrity is now the Sacramento Kings, as you can see, because they also have DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, which are 2 perpetual mediocrity people. And you're now there too. So I think they're in a horrible spot. But the Dallas Mavericks advance to the second round of the play-in. They will now be playing the Memphis Grizzlies. And speaking of that, let's go ahead and take a look at the 2 matchups on Friday. 6 p.m. Miami Heat versus Atlanta Hawks. Pretty simple. I think the Heat win this. I think Orlando's defense is better than Miami's. I think Miami's defense is just right there, though. I don't think it's that big of a difference. I think that the Heat just have better talent. Trae Young's going to do what Trae Young's going to do. I don't think he's going to have problems like he usually does in these against this Heat team, like he did with the who'd they play? The Magic. And I think it's going to be a good game. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a good game, but I do think the Heat are going to win. I think Tyler Hero is going to have another fantastic game. Actually, how much do I believe in Dyson Daniels? That's going to be Dyson Daniels' assignment. Ooh. Oh, that's tough. That's really tough. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Heat do win still. I think Dyson Daniels is going to hold Tyler Hero to a normal stat line. He's not going to have what he did today against the Bulls, but I think Bam Adebayo and Andrew Wiggins are going to have bigger games as a team, and I just don't see the Hawks being able to work around Khalil Ware and Bam Adebayo at the same time, because Onyeka Okongwu is their only big man, and no offense to him, he can't do both. No worries, though. That's not surprising to me. I do think that he is a good player, but not a good enough player to do that. And I will have the Miami Heat going against the Cleveland Cavaliers whenever that shows up. And then let's talk about the other second round play-in game. The Dallas Mavericks versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Now this one's very interesting. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, the Memphis Grizzlies are they are nightmare fuel for the Dallas Mavericks. You have Zach Edey, who, for some reason, I think Zubac is infinitely better right now than Zach Edey, but Zubac, they're kind of the same archetype of center, right? Garbage man guys that don't really space the floor, but they suck up rebounds and they're crafty inside the paint. That's what Zach Edey is. Maybe not crafty, but that's what he does. He doesn't do anything outside the paint. And Zubac might be the most successful center against this Mavericks big men tandem of Lively, Gafford, and Davis. So I'm wondering if there's going to be any continuity between those two, or if I'm just overthinking it, or if it's just Zubac is that good this year. Um, the Mavs will have a size advantage, as I think they'll have a size advantage against any team in the playoffs. Now that I think about it, but this is going to be an AD game, right? He had 23 tonight, which is great. You're going to need way more tonight, or against the Grizzlies, because they have star power. I don't think the Kings have star power. They have John Morant. They have Jaren Jackson Jr. They have Desmond Bane, who I would guaranteed take Bane, or not Bane, Jaren and Ja over anybody on the Kings. And with how Desmond Bane played last game against the Warriors, I'd probably take him too over any of those players. So you're going to need really, really great defensive effort and results from your guys come Friday, or you're going to get blown out in this game. Blown out. I don't necessarily... Let's look at their shooting from last game. Because, I mean, what was the three-point shooting situation? I mean, they shot 47% from three and lost, essentially. I mean, jeez. I mean, their bench does stink. Their bench is horrible. I don't know. I think it'll be a very good game. I think it'll be a very interesting game. I don't know if I feel confident with the Mavericks winning this one, though. I could be a homer and just say, yep, Mavs winning. Simple as that. No worries whatsoever. But to me, it feels like that's not going to be the case, and that the Mavs are going to have a really hard time in this game. And I don't know if this is going to be their game. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Dallas Mavericks to win this game. Yup, you heard me. The Dallas Mavericks are going to beat the Grizzlies on Friday, and they are going to play the Oklahoma City Thunder in the first round. Talk about cinema. And they're going to beat the Thunder and play the Lakers in the second round. AD and Luka play against each other on the swapped teams. I'm just kidding. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but the script would look really good. The script would look fantastic. Luka and the Lakers win. They play the Warriors in the conference finals. Come on now. Come on now. Luka gets the rematch against the Celtics, but with LeBron this time, and LeBron cements his legacy as a haunter, as a ghost of the Eastern Conference. Okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But you never know. That might be what happens. Let's take a look at Tankathon. I want to do this every single episode we do. We'll do one hit of the Tankathon lottery simulation and kind of just look at what's going on here, right? When it comes to protections, Houston owns Phoenix's pick. Like, are we serious? The Houston Rockets can hypothetically get Cooper Flag. That's terrifying. Sacramento doesn't even own their own pick this year. I mean, Atlanta gets Sacramento's pick, all right. Jeez. This is horrible. So let's go ahead and see. With the big old button press. Charlotte will get Cooper Flag. This is my least favorite of the big poo-poo teams to get Cooper Flag. I do not want him in Charlotte at all. Not one bit. I want him in Washington, personally. I think him in Utah would be kind of funny. But I think him in Utah would be cool next to Larry Markkinen and Walker Kessler. Imagine a small forward, power forward, center combination of Cooper, Lowry, Walker. Hold on a minute. Yeah, this stinks. This would be horrible. San Antonio better not fucking jump up to the 3 whatsoever, or we're going to have problems, Mr. Silver. I would like to see the... I mean, this is what, the Thunder's pick? Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. How does OKC have their fingerprints over everything? It is unbelievable. It's disgusting. Seriously disgusting. But nonetheless, I think that will do it for the second episode. Only 30 minutes, not as much to talk about. Our next episode will be a much, much longer episode, as we're going to go over all of the playoff series, and I'll be picking my winners of the first round, and how many games I think it'll go. But with that being said, thank you all. Lord, it's really the 1:40 a.m. is really getting to me. Thank you all for watching. I hope you'll have a great day or a great night, depending on what time it is and where you are. And I will see y'all next time. Goodbye.